Hello to everybody new or old or returning or whatever you may consider yourself to be in regards to me in this channel. I am Grizz and we are here. We are back in a way for Chainsaw Man, the first time in 3 years. End of 2022, Chainsaw Man ended up airing the first season of it, a series that I had heard plenty of things over for, a few years prior, and got me excited because I didn't want to read the manga. And it ended up being the first new series that I had consumed that kickstarted the channel that we are currently on, right? That we are filming for, which is really fun. It wasn't the first series that we ended up filming for, but it's the first episode 1 that we did for something, which I think is really cool. And now to go all this time and finally come back and explore it again, I think will be extremely enjoyable. This movie ended up coming out, I think it's September, if I'm correct, or maybe not. It was September where it premiered where I am? No, so it was over the summer? Maybe? I don't remember. I don't know. But it came out many months ago, and then it came to streaming platforms, I believe, at the beginning of this month. It's December 26th as I am recording this. So I believe at the beginning of the month of December, it came out onto platforms over here that I could watch it. And I told myself we were going to watch it when it came out. And here we are 3 weeks later, and I'm finally getting around to it, because things always get in the way. Anyways, we have made it here. I spent a little bit of time rereading the manga, the first season worth of chapters, so I could be prepared for whatever we were getting ourselves into in case of things I forgot, or to maybe understand and pick up on characters a little bit more that may be relevant or important throughout this movie itself. I don't know how important a lot of the side cast or anybody is going to play outside of, say, Denji, because I believe, he's the one that we're going to be following in his journey with a new character being introduced to us throughout this. So yeah, I did go back. I read through whatever I could for the manga, and I stopped at where I recognized that the season ended up ending, which is good. It's always good for me personally to refresh myself. We've had a few other series where maybe I've watched a few episodes of, like the second season, and then I just felt like I didn't actually remember anything from the first one, and then it was just, I'm not happy with the content itself. So I like to do this to give myself a little bit of a refresher prior to going into something along these lines, just because it makes me feel like I know what I'm talking about at certain points, but it doesn't fully mean that I understand everything or that I'm going to all the way throughout this. As a disclaimer that I always love to give on any movie reaction that we go through, I don't like movies. I never have. I don't think I ever will. I struggle. My attention span ain't the greatest. I'll openly admit that. It's something that I definitely need to continuously work towards being better with, but it's just the idea of trying to remember things that happened 2 hours ago and then put it into oh yeah, I can connect how this related to where it ended, and then have a very cohesive sort of discussion towards the end. It feels like it's difficult for me, without having to or being able to rewatch or do anything, and I just don't have the time personally to go through and watch 2 more hours of it's just a lot. So I'm trying to, I'm going to try my absolute hardest. Hopefully I can fully understand what we're getting at, and what there is for me to talk about, what the author was trying to intend with certain things, while shining and showing hopefully my appreciation for the animation that we get to see as well, because you already know that it's going to be unbelievable. The season 1 was kind of crazy for what we were able to get, so I'm super excited to see the absolute visual spectacle that hopefully we can receive here, especially considering it's a movie and typically the budgets and things are largely different for those. You'd expect something to be visually really intriguing that we're going to get, so I'm excited for that. I will say I want to talk a few things about what I recall my initial feelings were towards season 1, and certain things that I liked or maybe didn't like, and then maybe if those things have changed or how I feel after reading parts of the manga, and then where we're going maybe with the movie before we get into it. With the first season, I recall really enjoying it. I thought it was the best first 12 episodes, or not the best, but some of the best first 12 episodes from a Weekly Shonen Jump manga. And I know it's bi-weekly or not necessarily weekly anymore, but I believe it started out that way. So even just from one of those as well, just a general Jump manga having the best, like, or some of the best first like first 12 or so episodes. There's other series like, the hugely popular ones, Jujutsu Kaisen or Demon Slayer, things like that, that I think didn't really pick up or get that interesting to me personally until the second core of their first season. So I think this series accomplished a lot more than they did within their own, respective first season or first core, which I thought was really fun to see. There's been a few others that I've been able to come by of recent that I've enjoyed a lot, especially towards the beginning, but this was different. So I thought that was a really strong suit to it. I do remember coming out being super impressed visually with almost everything that we got. I was a little iffy towards the 3D Chainsaw Man himself. I was a little like, it didn't bother me too much. And I think at first, and I even made notes of this throughout the reactions as we went on, initially I felt they were a little like jarring almost, because stylistically it didn't blend as well as maybe I would have liked, but typically that's just 3D in general doesn't blend as well. So I don't know, maybe we got to cut us some slack at times, but I remember feeling a little weird towards it at the time. And then the more I kind of warmed up to it and got to see it throughout the season, the less like I really was like, this feels completely out of place, to the point that it kind of just blended and felt more natural. And I think it was just like a first in noticing it and then consistently reminding myself, oh yeah, that's that. Oh yeah, that's... It becomes, you get in your own head a little bit with things. So I came around to that and didn't necessarily have an issue with it. Another thing I didn't like, or maybe it wasn't necessarily me and it was me being influenced through outside sources on things. A lot of people I remember discussing not necessarily enjoying the pacing of the series. Apparently the manga being extremely like in your face, fast paced, like, and the animation wasn't that. There was a lot of times, there were moments where we got like 2 minutes of just, the characters just kind of chilling. Like it wasn't all over the place at times, which was, I enjoyed it. Like I didn't actually mind that. The part where I maybe was taking a little bit of what others were saying was in terms of the overall action and maybe what is able to be done through a manga versus animation, and the way that they kind of portrayed it felt a little bit different. But I didn't know fully because I hadn't have read it. But if I'm being honest, now going back through and reading it, my opinions stand towards like every time I was reading certain sequences, I was either recalling the scenes that I watched, or even if I wasn't recalling those sequences, it was just stuck almost in my head of like, this would be really cool maybe if they did this, or if they did this, or if they did this or something. And all of those ended up being us kind of dragging out the scenes as opposed to just being like very fast paced. So I don't know. It felt weird to me. Like I felt like I had a full 180 over these last few years. Like maybe it's just the way that I am, or maybe it's just, being influenced or feeling like I'm letting the outside noise get to me, which is something that I've continuously, I think, gotten a lot better with over the years, of just stating how I actually feel versus like maybe taking in what some other people are saying and letting it directly influence what I'm seeing. I just actually feel like I really enjoyed the overall animation style itself. Now, I do know we have a full different director, so things can go very different. And also, we're doing this in movie format as opposed to, series, so they don't have to fit things into like a certain time space. So we might have to drag things in certain ways, or like visually kind of showcase them in a altered version just to reach that time limit if needed. So I'm interested to see how that's going to go. I'm actually curious. Let me take a look and see if the director himself has been on anything that I have seen. I'm assuming he worked directly on the other season as well, but probably he wasn't the main director. Okay, yeah, so he was on it, but he's also done a handful of other things, and he has a few different direction with, what is it, Wistoria, I believe it was called, that aired last year. So he's out there. He's out there doing his thing. So good to know, being able to at least have that sort of background knowledge before we end up going into this. My understanding and knowledge of what we're getting into in regards to the movie and where we're headed, I believe this is just one single arc all the way through, which is nice. So it should be kind of condensed into like one story almost being told, which will be good. I have seen character design of the girl that we're going to be introduced to here. She was slightly shown throughout the last season, but I've seen like, manga covers. I've seen like a screenshot here or there of the movie. Surprisingly, my main reason for wanting to watch it like early after it comes out here, and not just like letting it sit around, because typically what I would like to do with this is just wait until the next season or movie or whatever it is that they decide to do comes out, and then watch them like back to back, just because then it gives me a little bit more content to do, and there's a little bit more hype built up almost around the thing before you get to it. We ended up not going directly into that because I don't know what they're going to do, and I don't know how long it's going to take. And it's also a big name series, and if it's anything like some of the other series, I figured I would get fully spoiled on it. But weirdly, I haven't gotten spoiled on like anything, I feel like, so that's super cool. But as I was saying, I have seen like screenshots of her here or there. So I've seen like a couple that I'm aware of, and maybe like a thing here or there from the movie itself. So some of those things won't be as shocking. Like, I know she has a different form that she'll be taking at some point, and when that happens, I've seen a screenshot or two of like that, so I'm kind of aware of where we're already headed with that. And I've heard, you know, I know the arc title and all that other stuff, not the movie title. So I'm aware of some other things about what we might be getting into, but actual like specifics of the content and how things kind of play out within it, I'm fully unknown. Now, for Chainsaw Man as a whole, maybe not necessarily this arc, like I said, I somehow have stayed away from a fair bit of spoilers and things on it, which is weird because I feel like it's one of the series that I would expect to be. So I don't really know where we're headed or what kind of goes down throughout even this arc or other arcs. I've seen like manga panels here or there throughout. So if some of those come up, there's one in specific like that I can recall that's like this huge one. And if that just randomly ends up coming up in this movie, then I'm sorry, I'm not going to be surprised by it because I've seen it. But I weirdly feel like it doesn't, because as much as I've seen that panel, I feel like I would have seen that panel, the animated version of it, if you know it came out. So I don't believe that it probably was within this, but I guess we'll end up seeing. But I don't really know much else. I don't know what happens between character dynamics, or you know if there's really going to be primaries involved outside of Denji here. Like I don't fully know outside of just general assumptions I'm making. So I am excited to get into that. My beliefs for it though is I believe we're going to have some romance probably involved, which is a large driving point with the dreams and living out that better life that Denji has essentially been trying to show Pochita and live out, you know, for himself too. I think we're getting to that point a little bit here, and this is really going to escalate that situation, maybe that connection overall that is essentially being built up to override those awful first times or the high expectations that Denji had that got like kind of fully destroyed within the first season, that Makima kind of tried to talk him up to a little bit and be like, hey, these things need, you know, there's a little bit more that goes into them than just letting them happen. And I believe we probably get some of that throughout this. So I'm interested to see how he develops, and if being able to receive those things has a mindset shift once again, or then finds new goals and things to strive towards and continue with. It'll be fun to kind of chase around and end up seeing. I know some other things in regards to, like, I've seen character designs of like comparisons from season 1 to 2. So I do know that we get a slight shift in terms of like coloring and the overall design choices. I don't know if that's because character designer themselves changed, or if that's a full directional choice, or if it's just whatever the decision was on it. And that happens pretty often, and I'll see how like drastic, if anything, it ends up feeling. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see any sort of differences that I can recall, because I haven't actually watched season 1 since it initially came out. So it's been like 3 years since I've watched the season, or even really watched any clips or anything of it. My only other remembrance of the series comes directly from just reading the manga recently. So, or the first season's worth of content at least. So not very excited. Sorry, I just been yapping. These are the only things that are directly on my mind. Just wanted to lay them out there for you before we end up getting into this. I will say too, though, I was planning, like I said before, to watch this many weeks ago, but I've been kind of struggling the past few weeks with like feeling pretty present, and it's been forming like this issue that I've been having in regards to like actually sitting here and wanting to record. I've turned my camera on multiple times to do this and sat here and then just kind of lost it at that time, because I just feel like I don't have enough in me to give you everything that I should be giving you for these reactions, and giving myself too for something that I'm expecting, and I do have high expectations for, I won't lie, to like really be something excellent or that sticks with me for a bit. And I feel like if I go into that in the wrong mindset, we're going to run into an issue. And today's the first time that I've truly felt like I think I can do it. So we're going to try and get into it. And if at any point in the middle of the movie I just start losing myself, I'm sorry, but I'm going to try and stay as focused as we can all the way throughout. So that's going to be my speech. I've been yapping for far too long before we can even get started on this. If it's possible and I don't have to stop and pause and do anything, I would like to provide a timer for you guys as a movie, just in case if anybody wants to watch it that way and for preservation and stuff going forward. But at the same time, I be pausing and reversing and taking breaks and stuff sometimes when I do these, so don't know if that's gonna happen. But we'll play it out and we'll end up seeing how far we can get or what we can do. And if there is a timer available somewhere, you'll end up finding that. But if not, then I'm sorry. Okay, that's enough yapping. Let me calm down. Hopefully things go out well. I hope you guys enjoy. If you like it all, to like and subscribe, they do mean a lot to me. Feel free to stick around for my discussion at the end of this. I did prepare plenty of time, so if there is a lot that I want to speak on, we should have time without feeling like there's any interruption. Please feel free to also leave some comments about the movie, your thoughts based on, my reaction, my discussion, your own thoughts on it, how it made you feel, your own reaction to directly watching it. Would love to read any of that, and as well as leaving a like and subscribe. They mean an absolute ton to me. I'm excited to be here. First time I feel like I'm hopefully going to be back to recording a little bit more consistently going forward. And if this goes over well, who knows, maybe as more movies directly drop. I know the creator of Orb, which we're currently watching on the channel, has a movie that I think they wrote, or they were the script writer for, or they have a manga on or something. I don't fully remember, but that came out recently, and that's coming out on Netflix very soon, I believe. Or streaming services. I don't know if it's Netflix, at the end of the month, I believe. So if like something like that, potentially we could just have some movie time, maybe once a month or something. We sit down and watch something. We'll see. But if this goes over well, just leave some support, and it'll give me a little bit more incentive to feel like I feel like we should do this. So without saying too much more, let's get going with the Chainsaw Man movie. My first reaction, straight out the manga, to the doorway where we hide our heart behind and all the hidden memories. It was prominent. Yeah. I love being in a box here. Don't ever open it. Oh yeah, we're gonna be stuck in this ratio the whole time, huh? What happened to you? Should we evolve? She reached her second evolution. Don't just touch her. Leveled up. We're gonna get an OP. Fun. Same people too? I like the new look, but we gotta do something with it. We gotta shave him down or something, I swear. He just has something to his voice that's like special, and I don't know how to describe it. But it's every time I hear it, it just like activates something in me. Sick. Wow. The colors are so good on some of that too. Nice. That's what it is. Sure. Take her from me, please. Shark boy? Oh. Something feels off about that. I don't know. This is I don't remember his name, but the Tanjiro guy. I was hoping it was a hot chick or something, yeah. Don't need to be around that dude. That's not exciting you? There you go. Come on. Well, loosen up. Hiding the emotions a little better. Outside clothing. This goes in that's me in my own head every time I see a cute girl. Another first. Oh. So we're not even gonna talk, we're just gonna funny movie that's not funny, sad movie that's not sad. Or doesn't directly influence you. This is an awful day. Maybe you'll like that one. Maybe it just isn't for me. That's why we gotta watch so many. Same thing. Yeah. Cool. You'll always remember the experience and who you were with, too. Well, they didn't think so, but now I showed emotion. See if we hear a beat. I like how he just lurks. I don't necessarily know that is the case, but I'm glad you're feeling some emotion. I'm glad it put a positive spin. Does it taste good? Okay, but if you're just asking, like, you almost have to command that, though. If you want a yes, I feel like, at least. She's the one that comes to mind. There you go. And then... and then the fated encounter. He's loving this. What the fuck? No, no, no. The big ass phone booth. Jesus. What a freak. But she gladly accepts it. I just swallowed it earlier. The green eyes, man. They pierce right through a man's heart. Crossroads, yeah. The sight of the emotion change too, raising the weather. Instantly. He just knew the route. But you got a job to do? She's giving me all the signs, dude. There's no other meaning to it. Saying the name, everything. It's like, what the fuck is happening right now? This is, yeah. This is a new world. Right, naturally. I swear my allegiance. Alright, she's gonna ruin everything. We had a master plan set out for years. It's gonna be foiled. Throwing them out. 3 ice creams. Did they? And if we're all collectively going to still work towards the same thing throughout this, or if we're going to have like a B plot of them focusing on that with Denji being distracted. Ah. She's different.
別に仲良くならなくてもいいんだよ。利益になるように使えさえすればいい。寿命を吸い取って武器に変えてしまった。武器。彼は触れた人の命を武器に変換する。早川くんの持っている刀も彼の武器だよ。
What the fuck?
触れられないはずの幽霊を切れたり、いろんな特殊な力を持っている。
That's incredibly useful. Learn how to use people from the one who does it the best, right? Help yourself.
Hey, 人間くん。ちょっとこっち来て。こいつは民間のデビルハンターみたいだね。この悪魔に食べられてたみたいだけど。お前の力なら楽に殺せるだろう。死なせてやってくれ。え？やだよ。僕は天使である前に悪魔だよ。人間は苦しんで死ぬべきだと思ってる。
俺の心はマキマさんが見つけてくれた。だから俺の心はマキマさんだけのもんだ。
The trap. But why am I here? Every day just come back to see her.
あ、お客様だ。
昼食い来た。
こっちの机で食べないですか、お客様。
Can't get too close.
君は学校行ってないだろ ?16 歳のくせによ。学校行かない。
He's employed though, yeah.
新種だよ、新種。こっちで勉強しようっと。そっち詰めて詰めて。漢字読めないの
Can't read it all.
教えてあげる。問題。じゃじゃん。これは何と読むでしょう
金玉だろ、エロ女。
なんだ、わかってるじゃん。
唯一金玉だけは読めるんだよ。
Somehow the only one I know. ああ。
学校行きたかったかな。なんか楽しそうだし。
行っちゃいますか。夜。
夜。
一緒に夜の学校を探検しよう。
します。
There's no way he started that. Yeah, look at him. There's no way.
体が言うことを聞かねえ。
お前ら悪魔どもはなんでチェーンソーの心臓を欲しがっているんだ
That's what I would need to know.
減る必要はない。
Okay, I guess I don't.
台風の悪魔くん。チェーンソーの心臓を手に入れたら一生俺にあんたん力を使わせてくれるっつう契約だからな。
どうやって殺したんだ
血と涙が出る場所を探すのさ。そいつの妻と娘を人質にとって剥いだ皮を見せたらおとなしく殺されてくれたよ。
So we slowly take the things that he likes from him.
ねえ、少し怖いから手つないでいい
The funny thing is we have Angel throughout this, right? Who displays the opposites between Angel and Devil, but that's almost what it feels like we're doing with her.
では、この問題解ける人
はいはいに
正解、天才この英語は何と読むでしょう
はい
正解はデカケツです。
エロ女。ああ、学校ってこんな感じなんだ。
I get it now.
16歳ってまだ全然子供だよ。普通は受験勉強して部活頑張って友達と遊びに行って、それなのにデンジ君は悪魔を殺したり殺されそうになったり。今いる公安っていう場所は本当にいい場所なの？
I mean, he gave him everything.
まあすげえいいとこだぜ。1日3回食えるし、布団で寝れるし。
で日本人としての最低限の当たり
Not for him.
俺、あんま泳げないんだよね。
じゃあ教えてあげる。泳ぎ方。
Her eyes and hair match each other so much better with the lighting here.
脱ぎなよ。服着てると沈んじゃうよ。
エッチすぎじゃない。
It's too much.
乗りたくなってきた。
Proper form. What's she gonna say when she sees the tag? Oh, everything.
レンジ君も裸なっちゃおう。どうせ暗くて見えないよ。
落ち着け。ダメだ。ここで脱いだらマキマさんを裏切ることになっちまう。
Walking him in. It's so easy. My brother just another me.
ダメだデンジ。言ったら俺の心もいっちまう。
ははわかった。さては泳げないからプール怖いんだな。早く。
Everything you stood for, gone. Killer. Wow.
教えてあげる。デンジ君の知らないこと、できないこと、私が全部教えてあげる。
I will be the one. Awesome. For the second time, the rain brings them together. Is the shark still following us around? He's probably having fun in the water.
デンジ君はさ、田舎のネズミと都会のネズミ、どっちがいい？
田舎のネズミは安全に暮らせるけど、都会のように美味しい食事はできない。都会のネズミは美味しい食事にありつけるけど、人や猫に殺される危険性が高い。僕は田舎のネズミが良かった。けど、マキマに捕まって、都会に連れてこられたんだ。
君は食えて楽しけりゃいいのか？
ああ。
じゃあ明日さ、近くでお祭りあるから一緒に行かない？きっと楽しいし美味しいよ。
仕事終わってからならいいよ。
やった約束ね。ちょっとトイレ行ってきます。
超クソかわいい。
Yeah. And it lives out everything that you need. Because somebody who is exactly like him needs someone like that. So she's just playing her part. Coming to take what's close.
好きな人が2人できちまったよ。誰だと思う？天使のやつじゃねえよ。あいつ男なんだ。小さい女も顔は地味にいいけど、あいつ俺を殺そうとしたからな。パワーは今で
How he visualizes all of them. Crazy.
ナルシストで自己中で虚言癖持ちで差別主義者だ。
Basically, it's just awful.
どうしよう。目つむると2人になっちまったよ。ポチタはどっち選ぶ？
Not sure you're gonna have a choice.
俺はお前を知っているぜ。お前はチーズだ。ネズミを表におびき寄せるためのチーズ。
何を言ってる？お願いやめて。
これからお前の顔の皮を剥いで目をくり抜いてチェーンソーに見せつけてこう言うんだ。君の大切な女性はまだ生きているよ。命はいらない。
It's like when dudes pick a fight with MMA fighters in the street and don't know who they are. But just pull out all the moves. The facial reactions are so intriguing.
Yep. レゼ様がいたとは知りませんでした。今回のことを見逃すからしばらく私に服従ね。あの男の死体は処理しておいて。
Then I'm expecting her to come in and switch flipped. Fuck! We play our part. Ugh. Visually, every environment has felt separate. Like distinctively portrayed, which is super cool. Or a firework showcase. Yeah. She's the type of person why I have trust issues, you know?
やっぱり今のデンジ君の状況おかしいよ。16歳で学校にも行かせないで悪魔と殺し合いさせるなんて国が許していいことじゃない。仕事辞めて私と一緒に逃げない？私がデンジ君を幸せにしてあげる。一生守ってあげる。
なんでレゼがそんなこと。
だって私デンジ君が好きだから。
I'm having crazy flashbacks to a different series right now.
なんでそんなに悩んでいるの？デンジ君は私のこと嫌い？
好きだけど最近仕事が認められてきてさ、監視がなくても遠くに行けるようになったし、仕事の目標みたいなもんも見つけてさ、だんだん楽しくなってきてんだ今。ここで仕事を続けながらレゼと会うのじゃダメなの？
Not part of the plan. I have to take you down somehow, right?
デンジ君、私の他に好きな人いるでしょ？
Uh-oh. So you gotta do whatever you can to make him forget about her, right? Yeah. Hey, fuck it. Good for you, bro. Good for you. Good for you. You know, you deserve this. Stomping on your heart. Suck the fucking soul out of you. Excessive blood loss already. But it has to be done. Come on. Thank you for lurking, brother. My boy Beam. Okay, so this is how we flip it. She's been dangerous since the moment we met her. Oh, shit. I don't know if Beam's the guy I want with me to do this, but I'm glad he was there. Come on, Beam. Do some crazy shit. He looks goofy. What? Alright, let's not fuck with her. Yeah, y'all get at. Brother.
順当に行けば5年後には俺が副隊長になる。そうなったら本気でお前を誘うからね。
But he's only got 2 left.
ありがとうございます。
ねえねえ、5年後はもう死んでますって言ってないの？
お前は誰にも言うなよ。
君はいいな。僕も早く死にたいな。君未来の悪魔と契約してるんでしょ？試しに聞いてみてよ。僕がいつ死ぬか。
ごめんだな。デンジは悪魔にやられたのか？
ボムが来る。ボム。銃の悪魔の仲間。
なんでお前はそんな情報を知っているんだ？
That is a good question.
答えろ。
That also might answer some things if there's allies on the side here as to why people are specifically after him.
マキモさん。
Why the fuck does she know that? She knows it all though. She just coming. Brother, brother, this isn't the move.
民間人の立ち入りは禁じられている。
助けてください。悪魔に襲われてます。
Yeah, from the inside.
ずいぶんな笑顔で襲われているもんだな。あの美女どこかで見たことないか？こんな時にナンパ癖はつまんないですよ。いや、本当にそんなわけないか。すいません。
Someone like that? No way.
頼みます。ガシ一。
Beam, I'm gonna need you to speak up, brother.
あいつを殺せたらおごってやる。人間だと思わず悪魔として扱え。
ダメみたいだな。
No.
そりゃダメか。
Oh, the whole building's about to be fucking blown up.
皆殺しコースかな。
Oh.
心臓と腸にカビを生やしました。
血を吐いた。聞いているな。
血を飲んで再生して。
What the fuck?
何？
Can we regenerate from the head?
ですよ。
She's gonna throw it like a... That's killer. Every part of her. How do you finish someone like that? I guess you have to get this version, which would be the true version. It's gonna blow up the fox. Spit her out. Oh, we lost an ally. Is she just gonna be left there?
俺が運転する。お前は二人に血飲ませろ。
Yeah.
車走らせないの？
So that's part of what you saw?
勝手に嫌な未来見せやがったな。
私の力を見せるために殺してみせた。できるだけ人殺しはしたくない。
But if you get in my way, I will. Right there. Use them to boost yourself. Whoa.
やろうか。
コベニちゃん、作戦変更。このお方俺たち
Yeah, I'm good. I'm out of Him and his partner are the same. Well, this is all part of it. No, go Betty. You're feeding into it. No. I love that she can just fly by doing this. Rise and grind, sunshine. We gotta fight. Brother, what is your plan? What the fuck is up with... What? Hey, no one will tell him. Nobody wants Denji. Yeah, thank you. I just have to kill you, though. I just need your art. Wait a minute. Listen, if a woman love bombed me like this, dude, it'd be over, alright? I just don't want you to do it. There you go, your true love. Until it's too late. The myth. You're making it impossible. Brother. Just ahead. But the heart's still there. Aki's got such cool abilities. Right, you can still rely on your own combat. It's a better shot than most others are gonna have. That's what it'll take. Yeah, until you get blown the fuck up. What do you do? Where's your judgment go then? What are you supposed to do? What? Call the reinforcements. You passed that judgment? Just train him into him. There you go. Let's rev him up. Kickstart the heart. Yeah, I think he made his mind up when he got out the car. Might be bad for him, though. There you go. how is that gonna work though? I don't like. What do you mean by that? Yeah, I don't think we were on the same page. I'm gonna ride him. I like it. I like it. Oh, that would make a lot of sense. I like this idea more though. This is fun. I like how you can just run too with his little legs. There you go. The best of friends though. Come on, brother beam. Oh my god! There's a drencher in it. This is what he wants. He got wings though. What the fuck? Too much. Brother Aki, we are running low. He's doing everything in his power to prevent them. He's killing himself in the process. Jesus fuck. Brother. The use of music has been so excellent throughout this whole thing. The stops and cuts in it too. All the characters are so goofy though, it just works. The dynamics are so good. Ah, shit. Yeah, her partner's not anything to do. Gonna take one down at a time. That's because a giant shark floating through the sky. Jesus. Levels, dude. What the fuck? That's the only thing I know how to do. Fighting with a normal style? Fuck no. The dark lines and into... So cool. And we swim through the blood. He's in his element now. That wasn't even who we needed. Beam should be full health throughout this whole time if he's just swimming in blood. Alright, now the final showdown. This is like the boss fight entrance music. Fireworks. Remember it all. Beam. No. Nah. That's the homie. Nah. Oh. Fuck. And he saved them. I'm sick of this shit. Can we just stop? Give me an out. One last time. Killer build. Wow. Together. The amount of times I've gotten chills throughout this is absurd. Oh, Beam.
どうして私を蘇らせたの？
俺は素晴らしき日々を送っている。何回もボコボコにされてひどい目にあって死んでも次の日うまいもん食えりゃそれで帳消しにできる。殺されるなら美人にってのが俺の座右の銘。
もしかして私がまだ君を本気で好きだと思っているの？君に会ってからの表情も頬のあからめも全部嘘だよ。訓練で身につけたもの。
you witch.
じゃあ私は逃げるから。
一緒に逃げね
え。
俺も戦えるから逃げれる確率は上がるぜ。まだ俺は好きだし。全部嘘だっつうけど俺に泳ぎ方教えてくれたのは本当だろ。
Yeah. Things that are easier said, things that aren't meant. Yeah.
なった方がいいよ。
レゼ、なあレゼ、今日の昼にあのカフェで待ってる。絶対起きろビーム、手動かねえ。俺のエンジン吹かせよ。
軍の弾薬庫には秘密の部屋があって、その部屋は親のいない子供たちでぎゅうぎゅうに溢れている。物のように扱われ、死ぬまで体を実験に使われる。そこにいた子供の写真も当時公開されていたが、すぐに聞かなくなったな。電磁が引っかかったのはその部屋の一人だ。
うん。
12番線から山彦号仙台行きが発車いたします。
扉にご注意ください。
Cat's still there. Running the same route. There's no way, right?
私も田舎のネズミが好き。友達が田舎の方に畑を持っていてね。毎年秋頃に少し仕事を手伝いに行くんだ。畑の土の中には作物を荒らすネズミたちが潜んでいて、雪で土が隠れる前に駆除しておかなくちゃいけない。だから土を掘って中のネズミを犬に噛み殺してもらうんだけど、どうしてだろうね。それを見ているととても安心するの。だから田舎のネズミが好き。
Definition of I can't let you get closer. The Halo.
なんで初めて出会った時に殺さなかったんだろう。デンジ君、本当はね、私も学校行ったことなかったの。
An action that can't be, a life of lies and being used.
って言ったのに、早川君に女の子を殺させたくなかったんだ。優しいね。
まあ天使ですから。都会はいいとこかい。
Even right now, I got all goosebumps. It lasts like 40 minutes. It happened maybe every couple. Oh, buddy.
デンジ君、もう店閉めるよ。あの子は可愛すぎた。住む世界が違ったんだ。いつかデンジ君にはぴったりな女の子が現れるよ。
Akimo shows up. Oh, never mind. Okay. I was gonna say it would make too much sense. You missed the whole thing. It's gonna eat your flowers, dude. I'd rather eat it than give it to you. Pull back out. Behind closed doors. And with that, we put Chainsaw Man to rest probably for another 2 or 3 years until they come around with another arc. have thoughts, but I'm almost at a loss of what to speak on in a way. So I think the best thing that I can do right now is praise the things I really love and then talk a little bit about the story and what I pick from it and maybe cut it a little short. Maybe not, though. We'll see. We'll see. I'll end up yapping probably longer than I anticipate, but it might be the way to probably go, because this isn't concluded as a whole in a series, and there's still plenty of questions and things out there, but I still need to provide something on that end, or I still need to at least talk myself through things on that end. So maybe that's the approach that we essentially take. First off, especially when we go back through and I show, the scenes and stuff as I'm speaking on them, we're going to skip a lot through most of the fighting sequences, which is just because they're fucking amazing, but there's nothing for me to add to that. Nothing I say is going to make them appear cooler than they were, or I can't get technical on any sort. I can't do that. So I'm just going to say they're fucking sick. I was absolutely blown away for about 40 minutes, I felt like. I mean, I don't even know what was going on with how long it was, and we'll see that, I guess, when I look through. But from the moment that we just began to fight here, I was just getting chills after chills every couple minutes. I was like, what the absolute hell is going on here? It was just absolutely gorgeous to observe. So I just want to say thank you to everybody involved in the production and overall creation of this, to bring these panels to life, to probably expand upon them, and make them actually come alive. And I really am appreciative of that. Animation is something that typically goes, I feel like, underappreciated in a way, often. And even on my own end, I'm really guilty of that. My favorite series is ReZero. I talk about this often, but especially like season 2, which I think has one of the best overall put together like stories from start to end, within like a single arc. It just does not look very pretty as it's being presented, and I give it a huge pass because of that. And there's plenty of other series that are also like that, where they look kind of ugly and you just give them a pass to give them a pass, and you don't really think much on it. When we get into these sort of discussions, oftentimes most of the people watching them, at least the reactors for the most part that I get to, majority of them mainly talk about what they're witnessing directly on screen, as opposed to really being able to understand and dissect what's going on animation wise. So I feel like it's something that's overly undervalued or appreciated. We might appreciate it directly in that moment, and we might all really wish and value it in terms of wanting it for our series. But when it comes to the things that are going to live on and the things that you're going to talk about, the animation seems to be one of the things that you talk about almost the least, which is unfortunate. I mean, not the least in terms, like, you talk about like a lot of like, the background music or a lot of like other subtleties and things, definitely less. But I'm saying in terms of how people typically will weigh and value stories and where they show their appreciation and the discussion that continuously almost lives on, it's the plot points and characters and the overall messages and things that I feel really drive them a lot more than visually what you end up getting on screen, which is, and even voice acting and things like that, which is a little unfortunate. But there is that crowd that always will get on, knowing exactly what they're talking about, or even if they don't, just really showing the praises and giving absolute props to the names behind making this come to life. And I truly do appreciate those people. And I think this is one of those things that absolutely should be continued to talk about for years and years and unbelievable amount of years on end, for how magnificent it truly ended up coming out to be. And maybe I can get myself to that point at one day where I can actually like start understanding the art behind it and the technicalities, but I don't at this point. Anyways, all that just to say, this fucking beautiful to absolutely witness. And even in the subtleties early into the movie itself, a lot of just the overall character acting that we get, different facial expressions that we get in the moments of kind of being more in and out of clarity depending on the different situations that we're in, I think end up really coming to life. We see a lot of creativity, especially within the opening sequence that they're able to show us, and then especially within the fight too, going to specific different still frames throughout too that are just almost feeling like you're bringing colorized manga panels to life, which is something that you don't typically always, get throughout the anime. So I really, really greatly want to at least throw some sort of attention on it. It's something that throughout like other series, like when we watched JJK season 2, I felt like I didn't give enough props to, and at the time I tried to, but I just don't think I did it enough justice, and I just still, even with this, don't think I can, but still want to at least shed some light on that. So making that my openings, talk almost in a way, I feel at least places maybe importance directly onto that, but at the same time it does push it to the side, so maybe we don't fall directly in line with that, but I don't know. Other things that don't fall incredibly plot heavy that are absolutely things I want to talk on is the use of music throughout. While the OP is fucking killer and it's a great place because where else are you going to put it right at the beginning, the insert songs all the way throughout, or just the different background tracks and noises that they decided to utilize throughout this were fantastic. There are so many different points where I felt they were elevating the scenes. There was that one song which I wish was utilized in a slightly different way, but it was still killer. When Denji was kind of coming out of the car and that fight initially began to take off, there was like a moment when the hook really came where I thought things could have gotten chaotic and went crazy, and they didn't nail that beat exactly the way that I think I was anticipating, but it still carried itself to be extremely nice. It just was awesome all the way throughout and entirely necessary with what they did to elevate the product that we got. So super cool on that end. The direction overall changing and the slight tweaks towards character design that I talked about at the beginning aren't things that I would say I particularly noticed a huge difference in. Well, it's not something that I'm always looking out for. I didn't really feel like I was noticing something too different. The general styles in terms of what we were getting presented on screen were slightly different, but typically I feel like when you get movies for a lot of these sort of series, especially when it's a production like this, the stylistic change is almost necessary in a way for distinguishing the strong difference almost between them. And I think that was just really welcomed and cool. It leaves me wondering too, like the remainder of the series, because this is where it becomes interesting too. This story itself, and that's what arcs typically are supposed to be, right? It's contained stories within one section, but introduction portions of a series will have mini arcs all the way throughout, and even one lengthy one typically. And those arcs themselves may not have like open and close, like this is the message, this is the story. They might have things that you build upon that get you from point A to point B. And well, this episode or arc, I guess, technically does that development on Denji's end, adding more intrigue and mystery, but maybe even providing some sort of questions or theories that can begin to be formed regarding Makuba and her existence and, her relation to everything else that's sort of going on, live on for the future, and will provide that intrigue to the future of the other arcs or whatever they decide to do in terms of TV, anime, or movie itself. This has a clear defined start and stop point for a story that can fit within an hour and a half time slot that works absolutely wonderful in terms of being a high quality movie production. So it makes me really curious, and I'm not going to look it up in terms of spoilers and things, but really curious in terms of if we're telling stories like this while developing these slight things in the background, do we have the ability to short form it as well for future arcs and put remainder whatever is left for the series into movies, as opposed to just directly doing TV anime, which I think could be really cool. I think this arc itself worked entirely perfect as movie form and almost needed to be, and if it were to be in episodic form, would definitely not have impacted or hit nearly close to being the same, which I think is cool. I like when we do sort of lines like that. It reminds me of the Mugen Train movie for Demon Slayer, where at least I personally felt episodically after watching the movie itself and then watching the episodes that it didn't work nearly the same way that the movie itself worked. This is entirely different, or slightly different in terms that had a clear part A, part B, whereas this doesn't feel like it has part A, part B. This feels like this is part A starting at minute 000 going to an hour and 30 minutes. That's part A to B. So it's, I don't know. So I think the decision on that's really cool and was definitely the correct thing to do, but it makes me intrigued if that's going to be the proper decision to do going forward for potential movie is the next thing or TV anime for season 2. I'm not too certain on what the direction is for that. All I know is if they can keep up this quality, I don't care which direction they go. If they need a movie to provide this sort of time to build it and get the quality, I would much welcome that as opposed to getting the TV anime, which it goes against everything I believe in because I don't like movies. I prefer episodic. So this is funny how that's making me feel, at least coming after a first watch here, my immediate thoughts on it. I feel like it wrapped itself up really nice. So I think it works just beautifully in the format that we're able to begin to get it. I think this does such an excellent job at developing future potential plot points and future ways that Denji himself may alter or may collapse in a way. We do a really excellent job at developing him where we showcase somebody who has struggled since the beginning to even now finding, does he have emotions? Does he have a heart? Like the loss of Himeno, the loss of those who came before and not really feeling anything, the not feeling human in a way of not getting the sort of believed feelings towards, you know, how he should have felt with the kiss or how he should have felt with whatever else that he was going to be able to get, right? Like the touch with power, like all this stuff that Makima was able to open his world up a little bit more and explore while trying to obviously exploit him in a way by telling him, you know, you can get more, but you got to do these things for me. And then it makes him just kind of fall in line, right? This continues to develop that with her being the, you know, the leading point for it, especially at the beginning, allowing him to experience that and find those emotions, find that crying that he was able to do, that 1 in 10 movie that he was able to accompany her to, that memory that will forever live on of being like, I was with her when this happened. She's the one who made me feel like this as well as the movie, but these are memories and things that I'm going to forever carry and cherish and remember. So placing her on this higher scale of like, all these rooted emotions, all these things that I found out about myself that I wasn't aware of before, everything almost about my being as a person that I've been discovering over these years with all the new things that I've been given have been provided by her, right? She's in full control essentially of him, which is awful. It's the order that he essentially is following, but not necessarily realizing or getting to understand the differences between the normal life that people live, which we immediately see with Reze, where she talks about the normalities that everybody else kind of lives through that he doesn't necessarily get because he's getting his meals and everything and he's good and content with that, right? Makima is essentially taking this kid from nothing, building him into giving him things and slowly like drip feeding things as necessary for him to experience and develop and understand all of this sort of stuff that he almost likely breaks, I would assume, at a point in the future and falls directly into her lap in a way that isn't the almost endearing sort of way that we're feeling like towards the beginning of the season, right? Remember him barking like a dog and him willingly accepting that role and being that for her at the beginning, being her little errand boy, right? Like doing all the favors and the things, essentially being on a leash is going to be something that is going to become more and more sad and no longer being able to be played in a comedic sort of way, I'd assume, going into the future, especially with what we get from her at the end, right? The moment that he's able to experience the sort of love or this reciprocation of feelings and things that you likely would expect him, you know, to be ecstatic about because he struggled with his own hesitation throughout to accept that or understand and get past the wall that almost Makima's helped build up in a way. The moment that he's able to find that clarity and reach out and express that to Reze and then find his place where he's waiting for her to return to for the reciprocation that he might even expect. I don't know where he was at the time, if he was expecting her to show up or not, but either way, he did show up himself. For her to then come in again and be that barrier, be that wall that gets put up and tears down anything that can get to him beforehand. It's heartbreaking to actually just witness and see that. See the unfortunate things that are going to probably continue on, where she's giving him this large freedom to explore and live out his life to get these sort of experiences, and she's not being the person who steps in the way of all of those things, letting them unfold. But the moment that she notices or recognizes that it's going to likely become a huge issue and problem for either her or just whatever she's trying to do with him, she's going to step in. And Reze even talks about that at a certain point. She's going to find me, type of thing. Like, I can't run away. That's the name you're speaking of. That witch is going to find me. And having that sort of feeling, especially towards the end, I'm going to run back to him. She's going to find me. She's going to be aware of it. She's lurking, and she knows. She's either listening or paying attention and observing to every sort of thing that he is doing. So whatever that power, whatever that intrigue that she's completely shrouded in from, you know, our perspective, is really just something that's going to continuously be on the top of the readers' and viewers' minds throughout, to wonder, like, what the fuck is she capable of? Where is she going? What are we doing with this? Which makes her such an interesting character. It's the reason why she's the most intriguing person throughout the first season. It's the reason why, even in a movie being, you know, whatever content we get, an hour and a half of this with her being on screen for literally 2 separate sequences all the way throughout, continues to be the most intriguing member all the way throughout. She has that aura to her. She just has the it factor that makes you like, fuck, I need to keep coming back to see more, specifically for what she does, what her plan is, what her ties and relation is, and all of this, right? Slight mentions and things that we get of her throughout, of like Angel being like, oh, you already know about this, and then finding out that Beam knows a lot more than is being let on, and finding that she's like feeding certain information to certain people, but terrified almost of actually revealing that information to other people, because not knowing the, you know, what she could do or what's going to happen to them as a result too. Really interesting. Really interesting. I'm strongly wondering where we go with her. And I'll talk about that, I guess, a little bit now. My own general thoughts towards her, especially after rereading a little bit, and her being in full control, especially utilizing Denji for something. And the main thing that so many of the characters throughout that we've continued to explore have been trying to look for and find, end up being, can we get Chainsaw's heart? Why are we after that? What does the Gun Devil exactly want? Why is that the thing that they're looking for? You would believe somebody like Makiba would have the ability to immediately get that if she wants. So I don't necessarily know if she's in need of his heart for herself, in terms of like, let me just take this and give it to this person, because I feel as though she could almost do that instantly. But I guess maybe she doesn't have an ability to track Gun Devil herself. So maybe she's utilizing him directly for that, so then she could do that. But then it makes you wonder, is there an exchange that she's planning, right? We find out that there's allies and that there is awareness from her of the allies that the Gun Devil itself has. So if that's the case too, is she participating on that front as well, right? But then it makes me question, like, why would Reze be so almost afraid or scared? But I guess it could just make sense, because if she's the one who's trying to hand this over for whatever reason, you know, everybody would be scared of her, because she probably has absurd powers that we're not even beginning to see and scratch the surface on. But then what would her purpose be with that? Is it solely to find the Gun Devil? But then if she does she, you know, absorb or take in something like that? Is she able to mimic? Is she able to take over and then create herself to have more power than those things? I don't know. I'm strongly like just curious what her goal is. I keep envisioning in my mind like a future where she literally just has a meeting and she's like fucking holding Denji and being like, look what I brought you. Like almost as like a, we did it type of thing. But then is it just like building up like a fight between that, where she's going to try and challenge the Gun Devil and actually wants to take it out? I just don't know why I can't get myself around to the fact that that's what she wants. I almost just feel like that's not, and she's trying to go against it, or like trying to join forces with it. I don't know. All that I can make note of and actually know, I feel like, is that she needs Denji for that, and she is trying to get him to side with her to have access to his heart, for whether it's giving it up or using it as bait to get this person to come close. So she isn't necessarily doing anything out of care, and is fully just trying to utilize it to propel herself further. She has stronger intentions, I think, or different intentions than those of like Reze or the others that we've run into, where they're like, the Gun Devil wants this, let me bring it to them. Why they're doing what they're doing, I don't know, but almost feels like they're siding or doing it for some sort of reward. I don't necessarily know if that's what she's trying to do, but I do think she's still falling in line and doing that same thing where she's trying to bring him to the gun devil. So I don't know. I'm wondering. These are just some thoughts that I'm having in my own head. But in terms of where I was getting to with her not caring about Denji at all, we get to see that full-on reversal where I don't know if I'm ever going to buy any of the things that she does is either stemming from a place of like kind-heartedness or like actually turning into like she's starting to like feel a type of way or grow an attachment in any sort of like real romance-esque sort of way in regards to Denji, where we immediately do get to see that in terms of Reze, where she tries to continue throughout to be like, that's not what's happening, and lying to herself and telling herself these sort of things. It's a duty. It's something that I've continued to do. But then you start having to ask yourself questions all the way throughout too. Why didn't you kill me at the beginning? Why did you do this? Why did you mention this? Why did you teach me to do this? These are not things that were necessary, despite what you're saying, to get us from point A to B. So what's going on there? To the point that she can kind of openly find and accept those feelings come at the end, I think was so cool. Unfortunate, of course, and heartbreaking that she has to be ripped away before she has that ability too, but it's a nice way to start and end that sort of story with her. And it sucks even more too, because you're at the point where Denji might finally find that sort of freedom, that acceptance and that understanding that it is okay for him to have the feelings and thoughts that he maybe was having all the way through at the beginning, right? The hesitation that was coming from him at multiple points of not knowing like what the fuck was going on and the ways to feel. Like a lot of times she was doing things that you would be like, holy shit, like any guy would kill for this, right? And he was recognizing that, but even on his face, there wasn't like this huge smile. It was like a struggle almost to like come to terms with like, I can let this happen. Like I'm in a position where I'm almost deserving of this, which is so awful that unfortunately he's in that sort of mindset, but it feels like he's stuck in that way until the end, where he almost becomes a little bit more clear of like, it is okay for me to feel this way. But once he did extend his arm and finally get into that sort of mindset, it was stripped away from him by her being taken. So that's where my general thoughts of like, he's going to come from, he's going to continue down like almost a downward spiral going forward, of he's going to just kind of fall in line with Makima as opposed to continuously trying to find these new sort of exciting experiences for him. Like he's going to get a lot more broken, and as opposed to continuously like trying to expand and find that freedom that it felt like he was exploring throughout this, right? The new experiences, those first times, those things that Makima made such a point of in the first season to become relevant and important things in his life that he was able to share with somebody else who was going to occupy such a strong space in his head going forward, is just messing with him even more. It is just going to ruin those things where it's like, why get close to these people who are going to be ripped away from me, right? Makima is somebody who's offered a sense of like a space of security for me going forward. So why would I not just want to experience those things directly with her, which is going to shun him out from those things that he's largely trying to reach for and go after, that connection that he was able to experience with somebody else like Reze as well, which is just, it fucking sucks the more you think about it. It's like, this is awful. I feel so bad. I don't know. We go through a consistent, like, joking thing where a lot of people, guys especially, are just like, I'd let her use me and let her do whatever she wants, right? But then you're gonna be broken at a certain point, right? That's gonna be ripped from you, or you're gonna fall in line at a point that it's no longer going to be a good thing. And I fear that we are going to write it in a way, just based off of the few other Fujimoto things that I've read, that might lead us down that path. So I'm a little cautious and worried for Denji and where he's unfortunately going to be headed. A few things I really did love too were just the general mirrors between a lot, the expressing the type of person and weirdness that Denji is, just for not experiencing any of these things, to then reveal it towards the end that Reze is the exact same. The direction of showing the small square at the beginning in the first opening sequence to allow that to be the ending closing sequence with the long hallways kind of, or long alleyways almost between them. The unfortunate timing between somebody seeming so ready for something and the other being hesitant, to then the point that the other one is ready for it and the other's hesitant, and then when the other one's ready and they're both finally accepting, they're unable to get it and their worlds have to be split apart and end it fully there. There are so many little things like that, I think, that consistently tracked between it. Conversations are running away, being both flipped at different points. It's just being at different places at different times, unfortunately, coming to realizations at the wrong time between each other. And once you finally did get yourself to that point, it became too late, not through a force of, you know, you're no longer in that same sort of place, but through a force of nature and Makima coming in between it at the end. It sucks. There's a few other movies that tackle similar sort of things that I've seen. And those, I think, really nail it sometimes. This one I don't feel necessarily the same as something like 5 centimeters a second is a movie that I consistently think of. Absolutely love it. It's my favorite, what's brother's name? Shinkai film. It's my favorite Shinkai film. And I got spoilers if you haven't seen it, so skip ahead a little bit. But the general feeling that I have whenever I've watched it a couple times, and I think about it practically every day, which is crazy. And I don't think the movie's perfect. I think it's far from. But it is one of those that, while I think has lots of flaws, is still one of the most memorable things and weighs on my mind a lot. And the overall ending and feelings and thoughts that I get of just feeling almost empty and feeling kind of just like lost and confused and just like stuck and being like, fuck, like that's, I guess, I mean, that shit, that's really it. Like that's the way things go. So that's how things are sometimes. That's just what it is. It is what it is, you know? But then not wanting to be satisfied with that and then fighting that internal battle that I consistently daily almost go through. So cool. And I get a similar sort of feeling. It's not nearly at that level for me that I've come out of this one feeling that feeling of just like emptiness or just like not knowing. I don't get that coming out of this, unfortunately, but I don't necessarily know if that's fully anticipated or like what we need to come out of it. I think it tries to tell things slightly different and it does exactly what it needs to. So I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but it does something on a similar sort of level that leaves me in a slightly different spot, but it kind of similar at the same way. So I think it comes out to be super cool. I think the build up, the first times, the experiences that we overall get to see that are dreamlike in a way, that things that you can only imagine or think you only see in movies, which we do, but for Denji, it's real life, right? Super cool. The way that it was all developed all the way throughout, the way that Reze becomes more and more intriguing and attractive in what she's doing. The feelings I had towards her at the beginning where like she's putting on an act like ever so clearly, but the more she's kind of feeding into it as things continue to go, the more open that she's becoming to it, the more you start falling for her trap, which is exactly what Denji does all the way throughout. To the point that like then it becomes real for us as viewers to be like, yeah, I figured that's where we were headed with it. Sucks, absolutely does. But I think the build up for it's so cool. And super welcome. And a lot of you know, especially if you've continued to watch this channel, I've expressed it multiple times. I don't love the fighting stuff like always. It doesn't hit for me at the same way that I think like so many other people get like such a thrill from it and are like, this is the coolest fucking thing ever. I fucking love this. I only get it with like robots, weirdly. Like I love Gundam because every time I watch one of the fights, I'm like, that's so sick. But these, it's just like, oh my God, like the animation and everything's super cool. So that part of it where it's like, holy fuck, isn't things that are going to replay in my mind consistently. It's not things I'm going to continuously think about. Well, I should be, and it should continuously be praised due to the effort and just the beauty that we get to see on screen. That first sequence, the ending sequence, the opening towards the movie, the first 30 or so minutes are the things that will continue and live in my mind for longer, which I think is what makes this so awesome. And I'm glad that they put such attention into all of that stuff and it didn't feel like such a drastic shift. There's times where you watch things and you get like the big fight sequences, which clearly feel higher budget and clearly different. And I know this is a movie, but the fighting in it and the other sequences feel stylistically the same. They don't feel necessarily disconnected. We don't do anything to alter or change that. And I think that is needed. And I think that it shows a lot of just consistency throughout that makes me appreciate the things that I really love, the storytelling that I love, and the things I'm intrigued in so much more all the way throughout. And it elevates those moments to be so much more for me because I was able to get so much more out of the openings. So cool. Cool stuff. Let's sim on through the episode a little bit. The opening sequence instantly being something that's able to grab you between the black and the white and just having a direct square box that falls within it. This continues to be the constant theme all the way throughout. This is how we ended the first season and how we started the first season as well. This is the last thing I read in the manga before we went to the new chapter. And it was this exact same thing. So us starting it here is interesting as well. But not wanting to open the door. I continue my thought at the beginning, and my thought still to this day keeps being that he has a past, that he has a heart, that he has emotions and feelings, and a thing that he continues to question that is locked away essentially behind this. And this is the wall, the door itself. This is the barrier that we no longer want to open. And it's the voice of Pachita coming directly through that's telling him, do not open yourself up to anybody or anything, because shit's about to get fucking bad if you do. And we've continuously seen that throughout the first season, where things might start getting good, but they're also getting ripped away from you directly by you falling into the claws of Makima. So we see that throughout this too. You're opening up your heart to being like, I'm falling in love with this person, or I want to be with this person. Reze then comes in and is like, I want to be this, and all that stuff gets teared away. The more you open yourself up, the more of these things are going to continue to happen, and it's a shield almost of Pachita being like, I'm trying to protect you from these things. Will we continuously have him listen? I don't know. Now at the same time, it doesn't have to necessarily be that. It could literally just be a general door. Like we're seeing a dream here, so that's just my general thoughts of him coming in and telling him this. This also could be a real life location with a younger version of himself that closed this off early on, and if he finds this one location or this one place, he's going to find answers or things that he probably doesn't want to, and you don't want to open that. I don't necessarily fall in line in believing that just yet, but we'll wait and we'll see. I think the heart thing's a little bit more. Here's what the fuck has she got going on. Her being at the beginning and end is also super fun to include, but not really relevant all the way throughout this arc, which is okay, because she doesn't necessarily need to or have a place in it. I think we could have utilized it in the sense of putting her into like a fight or involving her a little bit. But I do think what we do so excellent throughout all of this too is we group up a certain cast of characters and we tell a story with all of them, and we don't make it feel like we didn't touch on them at any point, or we didn't give a spotlight, or we didn't develop an intrigue to a future thing that can actually happen with the character. We don't do that at all, or don't include people that aren't necessary, which is an issue I've had with some other series. It's an issue I have a lot of times with big cast series, the big things that people love, right? Like Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, like things like that. They typically have a lot of arcs where the characters introduced or the characters involved are because they're a part of a group, or they're a part of like a alliance or a clan or whatever it actually is that you're going up against, and they have to be at that location because of that, but they don't have a full story, or they don't have a full like real importance or relevance to be in that location outside of we're just going to bring them into that location, which I don't like. I don't think that there's necessity for that to be the case. And we explore that in a few other series. Like one of the ones that always comes to my mind, which was one of my issues I had with the arc in itself that I expressed, and I don't think I did a good enough job expressing this why at the time, but I still truly believe it as I think about it. There's plenty of characters in the Shibuya incident arc in JJK season 2, right, that come into what goes on within the incident, but so many of the characters don't actually play a very relevant part in what goes on within the story. It continuously feels like we're forgetting about characters as we're developing the episodes, and it continuously feels like the author introduced them to be like they're here, but not necessarily have a clear vision of where he was going with, I want this character to do this or play this sort of relevant role or do this thing that will become relevant in the future at some point. There's some characters in there that they do that with that either I already knew or I know will definitely play a future part, and they leave them in a certain state because of that. But there's others who just don't have any sort of relevance or don't get any sort of spotlight or shine on things, and when they have very specific or important moments either in the series or in the arc, or they just don't throughout it, right? So where I am with this is every character plays a part. Angel has a very clear and defined role that of course is going to become very relevant as the series continues on, especially exploring it with the general thoughts and the change that he's able to have towards not wanting to bring Aki towards the end. These are very important sort of things, the touch and everything, and the importance of that to diminish more of Aki's lifespan and his general importance that we get to see that he places on Denji in his life and his connection to him, despite continuously being against people and not wanting them to kind of get in his way of what he's doing, or not just wanting people to die for no reason. The lasting mark that Himeno or somebody has left on him of seeing these people die make him not even want want fiends or anybody around him to die either. He becomes very important and relevant throughout this, and he's going to continue that as things go. He plays a role within the fight itself that is absolutely necessary. And we get the same thing where at the beginning, and I remember thinking this while we got to the fireworks scene, which is the funniest shit to me. I said at one point, I was like, I wonder if Beam, I couldn't remember his name for a second. I wonder if Beam is going to be here, right? Like, I wonder, like, if he's just lurking and watching all of this sort of stuff happen. I think I said that during the pool scene, but I remember just thinking during the fireworks scene of being like, where, like, we need more on him, because he was introduced in a point that if he doesn't become important later, that sequence of him following us and being relevant just feels lame, because then it's almost like he's just in the background to pop out at a random moment and that's it. But how important and impactful he was for us being alive still, for us being even involved in that fight and allowing the fight to play out the way it actually did all the way throughout was incredibly necessary. Like, every character that was introduced throughout the fights was very tied up, and it's very, very neat and tight and put together, and I think that's excellent. I think everything about it was just calculated from the beginning of, I need this character to be here, I need this to be here, and played out perfectly. We didn't introduce anyone or anything that was overly unnecessary to be involved. Even the situation where we had the guys from Division 2 and everything coming in provided a moment for us to get Aki and for us to get everybody out while we end up distracting Reze. So they do play a very important role throughout it, and they're not very relevant either because they're not characters that we've really been introduced to or talked to. So they're not people that are like, it matters if we put them there or not. We can put no names and nobody's who's not going to play any important roles going forward into these sort of things. So I think that that's really excellent, and I think that's why Power plays her role too. She's here at the beginning, we play a little joke with her, but it's utilized as a way to kind of remove her from the scenario and put her back in a little bit later when we're ready to turn the chapter and go into a new arc. And Makima does the exact same thing, where she comes in at the beginning, but she's had a very defined role, her continuous mentions and things throughout that then of course become very relevant as the series continues. I think everything kind of wrapped itself into being very nice. Typhoon coming in and being like as relevant as it was later too. Like, all these things I think play a part to become so necessary, and I've very appreciative of that. I absolutely love when we can tell a simplistic story without needing like tons and tons of characters or cast involved who don't really have enough screen time or defined role to kind of continue throughout. We then get an OP, which is fucking sick. Super cool. It's super fun. It's a beautiful song. We hit some trippy moments all the way throughout too. I thought it was great. Like, these are super cool. I love the use of the colors. I'm not going to go through and dissect it or anything too much, but it was super fun. I love the group that does the music. I've got to check out anything else that they got. It's just, bro's voice is crazy. Everything he does just has so much passion to it. So absolutely love that. And here we go. Power, you're going to be out of commission for a little bit. So we're going to move a little bit. And we're going to assign a little buddy who becomes relevant and is super important all the way throughout. His general connection to Chainsaw and to Denji is intriguing to me. Makes me really wonder why. I know Makima has told him directly about Chainsaw, and he probably has a little bit more of a lead on to like why people are after the heart and everything. So maybe there's an actual strong reason to be as excited and happy being around somebody like this. But I am curious what exactly that reasoning is, which they keep dangling right over us and won't give it. But I'm super interested because we're in a state too where it's like almost like you can't trust anyone. So it's like, what to what level do we know what bro's intentions are too? But I don't know. He came off a little too excited. So here we go on a date. You get to see her. This is his reaction to this. Is everybody's reaction when you see like a cute girl. Holy fuck! And we go on the date, which just isn't great. Movies in general, I don't like them for like, I don't like them usually. But in terms of like dates and things, no. We don't do that. We don't do that. Now, at certain points it works. If you are somebody, I would like to just express this. If you are somebody who struggles with conversation or finding ways to get a conversation going to one, and then going to like a dinner, or just like going out, like and just walking around or doing something afterwards can be very good because it can allow you to have topics of conversation that can direct you into a further conversation, as long as you can build that conversation from the movie that you watch. So it can be good, but they're not good in terms of I want to like go meet somebody and like speak to them and talk to them for like the first real time, like, and spend that sort of time together. Watching the movie doesn't necessarily allow that. So it's not really great from my own, beliefs and my own experience with it. I would much rather not, especially for a first or second date type of thing. But if you are somebody who does struggle or isn't really sure of how to like open up to somebody or begin talking to them and really have conversation like starters or ways to like get into it, I would definitely think it's not the worst situation for you to be in. So we go on that, and it's very disappointing because every single time we just cut in and out, and these movies all fucking suck. So we have to find something that's good to the point that nobody's around, which also potentially could play a part in like why we're a little bit more vulnerable, why we have the ability to cry and express these emotions without other people being around. Like there's a strong thing where that could largely play into this, but them actually finding a movie that they're enjoying, I think, is a good thing. And it's not necessarily wrong, where I don't agree with the like every movie's kind of ass, but 1 in 10 is like good and you'll find a good one. I think there's a lot of times there's good ones, but finding a movie that's going to stick with you and be something that you continuously think about, 1 in 10 might even sound about right. It's the same thing with anime in itself, where I can cherry pick and find all the things that have the highest scores, but a lot of times some of those don't even stick with you. You don't even think about those a lot of times, right? There's plenty of them that people continuously love and shower and praise as like some of the greatest things, but there's moments and just things about them that I don't ever think about, or I didn't feel the exact same sort of way. So it's difficult to find those. And that's why it's important to find those, because those connections that you make might be things that you internally are feeling or thinking, and you can't really put into words or convince yourself of like why you're feeling certain type of ways or what they mean to you. So when you experience these sort of stories, they might be able to visualize it or be able to tell you exactly like the way that characters or things are feeling. And for the first time, you can make that real connection about yourself and find out things about yourself, and maybe ways to handle things, or maybe ways to approach different scenarios and things in the future, or just accepting of a lot of things with yourself. So there's plenty of ways that could work, and that's why it's so important to do what she is doing, which is just consuming as much media as she can, especially when she has an opportunity to. We feel the heartbeat, and for the first time, brother has a soul, right? He's got the heart going, he's got feelings, he's got emotions, and look how thrilled he is. And I like how we bring this back about the victimized children and everything. It's something that becomes relevant later with the orphans and stuff, and being utilized as like just a weapon, and with the flowers and stuff. So once again, I love that we're able to bring that back. And Denji eating the flower. But he's so thrilled figuring out that he did find out about this, but it traps him even more to be like, Makima's the one who's helped me discover this and figure it all out. So that's what's going on. And here we go, introduction for the first time. And she knows what she's doing, right? She knows this is who she's after. She knows what she's trying to do, and she's playing an act. But at the same time, sometimes you play an act so much that you begin to convince yourself that that thing is actually true. Or even if you don't convince yourself, like subconsciously you've convinced yourself enough that it's like it actually becomes something that you begin to formulate these feelings, or begin to, actually take a role in the fact that you're like just becoming who you were acting almost out as, which is exactly what happens. This is cute. I mean, it's gross, but it's cute at the same time that he's able to perform what he believes to be his magic trick by spitting this up. And of course, that general smile that she gives him right here immediately traps him in. The sun comes out, it clears everything up, and it changes the course of his life forever, more than he'll ever really begin to know. I love the walking sequence. We get the exact same thing later, and look who immediately came to see you while you're at work. And just the general connection that they're able to continuously bond over and build throughout this, of her consistently getting close and being that pushy person almost. It's the consistent introvert extrovert sort of thing. And while he's not introverted in the sense of like who he is, because he's not afraid to speak his mind or really do anything, he is in terms of his emotions. He doesn't understand them. He doesn't know how to process all these things usually. And he's a little bit more sheltered and guarded in regards to being around women and stuff too. Because he's like, she definitely likes me, but I don't know how to react or what to do with that. So he's just like struggling, which is why her being that push or that pull almost here is like, I need to be the one who gets into that to be able to pull him in. So it's super cool. It's a great way to consistently develop and show that. The green eyes are crazy. Green is such a wild color. Over the years, I've always been attracted to like purple being my color, but green has always been something that's drawn me to it. And even here, it's just the mixture of the two. It's doing things to me, and especially the way that her design is when she gets more of like the darker light onto her. So her hair's a little bit darker, so it has the purple tint, but it's like kind of purplish black, maybe like splash of blue a little bit in there. When we go to like the water and everything, with the way that the eyes kind of pierce through you, it's insane. And then we start developing some of our other characters in the background and the things that we're going to plan to do. The way that Devil or Angel is starting to feel, the strong difference between, you know, being like a devil in a way, but being an angel, but acting out as a devil with the things that he does. It's intriguing. It's fun. It's a thing that you're almost getting as well with Reze coming in and her being that person who's being the angel directly to Denji, but at the same time being the one who's going to be the devil in his life at the same time, the one who's going to influence him to become bad. It puts you in a rough sort of spot. Sucks the lifespans and he forms weapons. Like, that's not about to be the most fucking overpowered and insane thing that we're ever gonna get. Yeah, sure. I love the coloring here. I love the sky just being a constant dark or bright red. No detail or anything provided or necessary to be into it. Just putting it there. And then starting to talk about and demonstrate a little bit about feelings towards wanting to kill people. Right? Doesn't want to be the one who ends up having to take it, but then ends up, you know, Angel becomes the one who does it later. The switch on it as well of Aki being like, you know, having no use for these people and not being able to become friends with them, but not wanting to see them die. All of it introduced to us super early that continuously develop. And look who just comes over and makes some room so that we can hang out. And is able to connect personality-wise. They have a lot of similarities. And despite her not necessarily knowing it, this is the first time that she's had that ability. We discuss her past and, you know, her upbringing and everything that she came from, as that ends up being presented to us at the end. It's super relevant because she's for the first time experiencing the same things that he's experiencing for the first time while trying to act and play the part for her own role in her job of what it is that she shouldn't. Crazy. This guy's kind of like irrelevant. He's the catalyst almost for kickstarting her actually like taking charge and doing her action. So he does have more of a defined role with that, but his overall threat was kind of lackluster. It was more so for the inclusion of bringing somebody like the Typhoon to come over and be directly involved with Reze and what she was trying to do and take apart her side, being somebody that is well known. It's the bare minimum for everybody. Yeah, something that you don't even have and you don't experience. And we continue to display this of being somebody, you know, caught in the spider web here. And as we keep doing it, the prey is eventually going to be captured at some point, and just takes it up a notch. Continues to give him so many first times, so many new things. I love the where his emotions go to the point that it's like, fuck, that he's just stripped completely. This sequence is just beautiful overall. So many different great character animations. A level of love and romance that's so awesome. Like this. Look, slowly encroaching upon it until you fully got them caught in your web, which is what we're going to get towards the end of it. This scene, right here, I've seen this screenshot plenty of times. This was one of the moments that I talked about before that I had already seen. So I was anticipating this to occur. And here we go, fully caught. Then things start raining, and before he gets a chance to do anything about it, somebody's going to come and be a problem. We tell our little story, just playing her part. But like, I love his imagination of all the different characters as he's going through the emotions that he is. And then I love for the fact that he's not able to, this guy's not able to recognize what's going on at all until it becomes too late. She's very swift with what she's able to do and take him down. The different facial expressions that we get all the way throughout this sequence, absolutely nailed. Super quick and to the point with what she's doing, and then she comes back in and the flip is switched instantly. And this is when I talked about it too. It's like stylistically everything feels like very the same, but very different, like directionally almost, with the way that we choose to showcase every sequence. Like the amount of blur, the amount of just like chaos almost that's going on within this to show everything kind of just passing by is so cool. But it gives such a distinctive feel and difference to what is typically such a standard scene that you get in a lot of different series, as well as just to provide a unique and separate experience fully for these two. So good. To the point that she decides to switch. So how far do we get? We get about 45 minutes in before we fully pull out the switch. We have a good conversation. Everything's going well. We share a kiss. It's fucking beautiful for him. He's loving it, living through the fireworks. And then, well, sorry to do it, brother, but we gotta fucking kill you. And then from this point on, things just go batshit fucking crazy. And I love being here. I love him coming to take it. She takes on to her new form. And visually, it's just so fucking sick. Everything that happens. I love her utilizing the bombs and the explosives is like propelling her to like a thrust and boost forward. I think is super cool. Him getting the big shark head's fucking funny. But I'm happy that they were able to get on out of there. And then she continues to track them down. I like how she tries it one more time on everybody else here within Division 2. And they immediately are just like, oh, it's not going to work. And she's like, oh, fuck, I guess I got to kill people. Let's try to avoid doing all of that stuff. Did a devil do this to you? It's the bomb devil. That's one of the allies. How do you know? Well, Makima told me. Ooh, why is that happening? Which is interesting because I wonder at what point, like, if at any, Aki's going to be able to experience the things that he's almost been being lied about the whole time. Like, it feels like, because she is utilizing him to achieve her goals too, but I do wonder if it is on the same level of like, she's withholding this information for her own self-gain as opposed to just actually what she thinks is better or important to know. Because if Aki goes to ask her that stuff, she's not going to tell him. So I am curious, like, at what point he's going to learn that, and it's probably going to be too late. It's probably going to be directly at the end of whenever his life itself would come. I love the idea of just being able to pull that and create the explosion. And then we just go fucking insane for the rest of this. He gets to see a future. I wanted to see what those sequences he saw were. Let's see, can I see? I can't really tell. They just look like colors to me. Or it might just be everybody dying kind of around him. And that was the bad future that he was able to see. I love how they just kind of go away from her, and at one point Denji wakes up and he's just like, fuck it, bro, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna fight. Like this, they're clearly utilized. Like Benny's clearly utilized to be like on site but struggle and to not be relevant throughout this, right? She's clearly utilized as a joke, as a distraction, as a way to continue with what we're doing. She's not intended to be a character that's going to do much more, and she's not here for that purpose. That's why she was introduced in a joke section as opposed to, you know, actually something that would be of much importance. I'd much rather this hot chick kill me. Everybody always wants it. What about fucking Denji's heart? For the first time, I thought somebody liked me. And then we go crazy, and it's a fucking spectacle for the remainder of this. I'm gonna skip through most of this, but he gets an absolute fucking beating, which is just rough to see. Gets burnt completely. I love when they feed him a little bit later, and they're just like drowning all the blood in him to help him out. Aki having to utilize perfect judgment all the way throughout too, or else things are going to become too bad. And then we have other fights to take on. So I have to use the blood to be able to bring brother back. And then him and Land create a huge strategy, which is hilarious, being able to just ride this thing just wrong completely, but works itself out. And look at this. Look who's about to die. Just let me go. That's all that I wanted. From the beginning, we expressed that. But at the same time, he still can't let himself lose somebody else that's in a group with him, that's somebody else that he's beginning to form any sort of relationship or spend any time with, and he doesn't want that. This is likely what should happen, but instead, look what we're going to choose to do. We're going to choose to hold on, and we're going to choose to continue and not let go. And at that point, unfortunately, has to grab your hand, which results in you losing more of your lifespan. So correct me if I'm wrong, because we did mention 5 years and him saying he has less than it when he was talking to the other guys. But does he actually have 5 years? I thought he said that it was 2 before. So if he had 2, then he's down another 2 months here. But I don't actually know. But he refuses to give up on it. And then they keep coming and they have fun. I love Land's relationship with him. It's so goofy and funny. But at the same time, it's super cool because it's just... he call it like all the names and everything they call them, and they're just such a good duo together, and it's just chaos. It's fucking sick. Like these shots just going into moments like this are so fun, and I love that we stylistically can change up at a brief sort of moment like that. Paint the whole town red. We have a fucking final spectacle and showdown between the two of us that happens right by the water. And the build up, the shots between them to ultimately get us to this point, so sick. And at the end, he chooses to drown themselves together, a place where they built that strong connection together, and we'll continue and end it there. Luckily, Beam is around to help us, and Beam is able to bring us back up the shore and give us a life. And at this point, Denji's finally able to give those things that he was so hesitant on before. Right? He's willing to express, let's run away together. Let's do this. Let's do whatever. He's coming to terms a lot more with these sort of emotions and these feelings and trying to tell himself, oh, she's not lying, or, that's actually how she feels that they can do something there. And she just continuously evades it completely. Doesn't want to necessarily recognize what's going on. She unfortunately does, but a little too late. Come to the end. Look at that hesitation. It's not right. It's not meant to be. It's not the time. Let me pull away. And there she goes to run away forever. And the sequence of her just having these second sort of thoughts while he's going to prepare for this dinner is kind of crazy. We learn a little bit about her too. Her upbringing, the similarities completely that her and Denji are having, the being utilized as weapons and other people just needing them to achieve their own sort of goals and purposes going forward, picking up the flour, the donations, all of it becomes once more the same. Refusing to go, passing the same points, following the same path. Just a little too late till somebody comes in and calls it an end. Nope, can't let you get too close. That's literally what it is. Can't let you do that. Can't let you have that life. I love the shot of the halo being there and Aki no longer being there and Angel having to be the one. Be honest, my biggest regret is not being able to kill you towards the beginning either, right? Because instead you had to live through this and you had to provide him with all these memories and these things for him to unfortunately continue and live on with. That had to be taken and weren't, ever meant to be something that could actually occur. And we end out there until we get an end sequence where, unfortunately, Denji, fully waiting and expecting the love of his life to show up, does not. And look who we get. It's nice to see Power again. It's nice to bring a different sort of energy, but it's not necessarily what he had hoped for. And he's going to have a lot of reflecting, unfortunately, to do going forward here as we pull all the way back out. Crazy. So we end on an incredibly kind of somber note, but at the same time, it was such a fucking beautiful spectacle to watch all the way throughout that I can't help myself but smile over the thoughts of it. I think it was perfect to be in movie format. I think that overall it did an excellent job of developing the main character and providing intrigue and a few other things that are likely following itself in the background. It expands a lot more on international stuff that they were talking about in the first season that continues to be something that's going on with development and, people from the Russian government and everything else that they're talking about developing this as well, which would make sense if we continue to explore that. And we might even potentially have to follow into going, overseas at places to be able to find where the Gun Devil actually is located. So there's lots of things that I think definitely did a good job here, and it moves Denji into a really intriguing spot where I'm like actually super excited to see where his character goes, where I can't necessarily say I was too excited within the first season for that. I think now I am, so I'm thrilled for that. I wonder how much we're not going to push romance stuff going forward, because it no longer feels like something that's necessary to continue. It feels like Makima's the only one, and she's kind of fully taken that crown at this point by eliminating those around him. So I wonder how much we're going to push outside of just like that general, let me throw you a bone every now and then from her. How he's going to feel with it. I don't know. I'm interested to see where we go. I thought this was great. I don't have too much more to say. Those are my general overall thoughts. I'll probably have more after my rewatch when I edit, but we're going to just leave it as it is for now. I thank you very much all for joining me. I hope you guys enjoyed. I had a great time. It didn't feel like an hour and a half to me of a movie, so we were able to just kind of fly through it, and it felt great. So I'm super excited for more of this series, more to come. It's probably going to be a little bit while till we get something like that, but there's plenty more coming to the channel soon. We're finishing up a few of the shows that we're watching now, and then we got some new stuff on the way soon, so stick around, leave a like and subscribe for that. I will catch you guys in the next time. If you liked it, I'll hit the like and subscribe now to me. Feel free to check out the video channel, the comments, digital series. I'll be back very soon for much more of other series. Leave some recommendations and things you would like to see down below. Are there any movies and things you'd prefer for me to watch or check out at some point? Maybe we can get around to doing some of those throughout the year. Might be cool. We'll have to see. You guys have an absolute fantastic rest of your day. Happy New Year to everybody. We're getting very close. I think this is probably going to go up right around that time as well. You guys have a great one, though.